Alright, so here we are with Ken Hill, testing out a brand new format for Float Chat. We are coming to you, well, live right now, but it's going to be recording later via Hangouts with Google. And so far it's pretty awesome. And I have to say, the more I test out this program, the more awesome it gets. So how are you, Ken?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm just trying to learn this Google Hangout thing too. I just installed it, like an hour ago. So hopefully everything will be cool.
Step up, Ken. God.
Looking forward to your step up. But yeah, it's actually really cool. You could play Cards Against Humanity on here, just as a side note.
We can play Cards Against Humanity while we're doing the interview?
You actually can, yes.
That sounds...
a full interview of just us playing Cards Against Humanity, if you'd like.
That sounds like our our interview might last a couple hours.
It's very hard to sign off after you start Cards Against Humanity.
That's funny.
All right. So, are you ready?
Yeah. I think I'm ready to go. There's a question I had, but I can't think of it right now. So, let's just do it.
Well, let's go.
Let me ask you this really quick. Is the audio coming in okay, or should I take off the headphones?
Audio's coming through great. The headphones might actually be helping prevent any feedback.
Good. I was just concerned that, because of our Skype calls when I used to not put on the headphones, so I just wanted to make sure.
No, good call. I probably should have done the same, but I think it's been fine. So
yeah, sounds clear over here.
Okay, awesome. Great. So
Cool.
I'm gonna throw some of our typical questions that I throw at every interviewee, as well as some that are catered to you personally because you are such a unique member of our community. So the first one is, are you excited about the Ninja Turtles movie?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you ask every floor artist that question.
Just you. Just the
Man, I grew up with that. I mean, and it's crazy because you've seen them go through so many renditions. You know, the original Ninja Turtles are actually really dark like Batman. Did you know that?
I vaguely remember the original Ninja Turtles, and I hope the original is the one that I'm thinking of that I actually watched in the Soviet Union. So
it was a comic book, and Leonardo cuts off Shredder's head in the end, chops his head off. So, and then they've come up with a lot of renditions, and it started off like Goofy Ninja Turtle, and they've slowly gotten more serious as time goes on. So
yeah, I really like the way that they're portrayed in this movie. They kind of actually look like mutant turtles.
Yeah, they definitely look mutated. That's true.
A friend of mine actually used to work on the animated series, and I got to work with him at a toy design company, which was a real honor.
No way! Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I want to be like I want to be like one of the Foot Clan soldiers. I would love to be a part of that.
Yeah, me too. I'd love to be part of a series or to animate a series that'll later become part of someone's life in their childhood. Like, that would be so huge for me.
It's pretty insane to think about how entertainment can affect people in that way too, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We should probably get back to flow things.
For sure.
Things on fire. I think that
sounds good to me.
So, here's my first favorite question. It's when did you first start spinning, and how? How did it all begin?
Well, I mean, I guess you could say I started spinning when I did martial arts. I started that when I was a kid, but it was always to do combat, so it was very fierce style. But I would say after that, I actually I did a music performance about 6.5 years ago in San Francisco, and they're going to have poi spinners spin to my music, and that's when I first came across spinning again.
That's awesome. Was it fire poi?
No, they wouldn't allow it. They were going to do glow poi, but I actually, it was a Sacramento fire community over there, and I got to hang out in their backyard, and I saw fire spinning for the first time in person there, and I was just blown away. A little intimidated, but blown away by it, for sure.
So you started out seeing poi, but was that your first prop, or was it one of your martial arts toys?
Oh, it was nunchucks, definitely. I came back and I thought about where my best proficiency was from martial arts, and it was nunchucks. It's just always been with me. So
That's great. And so fire nunchucks, that's not a very typical prop. Did it take you a while to find fire nunchucks? Like when did you first light up, and how did that feel?
man, I was scared. I was nervous. My heart was just pounding away. I thought I was crazy when I first started. I burned myself. I dropped it fast. I learned hard and I played hard, especially through my life, because there's really no community here in Nebraska when I first started. I mean, there's very, very small, and everything was relatively unheard of. But it was exhilarating at the same time. So
Okay.
it was one of the scariest, most exhilarating things I've done.
Yeah. For me, for one, it still is. Like I'm still scared every time I light up. There's some level of fear of like that can burn me.
Yeah, well, you got to go fast with fire nunchucks, that's for sure.
Yeah, I could see that. And that's scary in itself because all the momentum's going around you. So much
Yeah.
grip control.
Oh, I always feel like fire nunchucks are like the motorcycle prop of fire toys, because it takes a lot of handling, but once you get it, you feel like you can really turn into the moves, and you just feel this sense of control that you can get from the speed from it. It's quite exhilarating.
Awesome. I could definitely see that. Let's see. What do we got here? Okay. So, and obviously you love Nunchaku.
Yeah,
You have
definitely.
Nunchaku Tricks. Is that the name of your website?
Uh-huh. Yeah, Nunchaku Tricks. And then there's going to be a Flow Tricks coming up as well. But Nunchaku Tricks is where I started to teach. It was I started doing that actually right after my Costa Rica workshop last year. I spoke with Nick Woolsey and picked his brain onto how I could create a better following, so I could get nunchucks more recognized, like just out there more, because I feel like the beauty about nunchucks, minus the fact that it's also illegal in many countries, is the fact that there's so many people that do it. Like there's martial artists, there's Bruce Lee lovers, there's flow artists. So I feel like it can appeal to a huge range of people if someone out there would just create the steps necessary to like put A and B together and just like connect all the dots.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough thing. And the more you talk, the more parallels I find between you and Hops Flow, who has the same issue with whips. Because there's so many people that do whips for different reasons, and like how do you connect them all? How do you get them all to come from like the circus? And then you have, people that like, are cow herders and whatever that actually use them functionally, like kind of practice and have fun with them in their spare time. Like how do you get them all together?
Right. You have cow. Well, we don't have cow herders, but you have rice flailers. Farmers, use nunchucks, and people use them as weapons. And it's also one of the few fire props where you'll still get comments like, "That's not how you swing a real weapon." It's like there's still a lot of people that get upset over the fact if you don't spin it like you're trying to like obliterate your opponent, which is pretty funny.
But is that really like? I guess my question is when you do nunchucks for the flow art, when you really do these beautiful, expressive, graceful tricks, is that really far removed from the way that you would use them as a weapon? Like, could you incorporate some of those moves into also defending yourself, for example?
Oh, definitely. I like to think of martial arts, at least the style that I studied, as very sharp angles, and in flow arts, it's round circles. So every time where there would be a sharp point, instead it rounds off so it can keep going continuously. So I think that's the major difference between flow arts and the fighting style, is the fighting style would stop or it'd be rigid, it'd be very sharp at points, whereas in flow arts it rounds off and it just continues on this infinite spin.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like you're directing the momentum when you're trying to hit somebody or hurt somebody. You're
Right, and
stop it.
it's the snap at the very end that creates all the power, and that's really what you're focusing on. But in flow arts, it's about rounding it off at the last moment, so it just keeps continually moving.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So is there anything besides nunchucks that you're playing with right now?
Oh yeah, Noelle got me on the contact staff, so I'm having a lot of fun with that.
Well,
Well, I'm always looking, like with nunchucks. I spent most of my time teaching myself. So I was thinking, if I'm like teaching myself my own prop, why don't I just build my own? And that's actually where the H staff came from, was wanting to just kind of create a prop on my own and figure out how to spin that thing around. And so I still practice quite a bit with the H staff as well.
Do you want to just tell the readers real quick what the H staff is? Because a lot of people are still not familiar with the term. Like, we need to do some promotional work on that so people get to know it a little better. But I think
yeah, I don't even think this will fit on the camera.
Oh,
I have it with me, but it may or may not fit. But the H staff looks like, yeah, it's gigantic. A huge letter H, basically. Looks like a letter H, and there's 6 points of fire on each total. The idea is that yeah. Well, we'll have to take a picture, but the idea is that
we'll Tetris it together in our heads.
Yeah, so you have this letter H, and the idea is that you can do many different things with it. For instance, if you hold it in the center and you spin it horizontally, it has a lot of the techniques of a hoop that you can do, like, for instance, the vortex. There's actually a few other hoop moves, but since your hand is in the middle, you can also do staff moves like palm spins. There's contact work that you can do. Mm-hmm. And if you start spinning it like on the wall plane, all of a sudden you can do like double staff moves when the double staves are parallel with each other. And at the same time, if you go to the wheel plane, you can start rotating it and doing dragon staff moves. So That's it kind of mixes a bunch of different styles together.
Yeah, it's very versatile. I love it. I love seeing it in action too.
Thank you.
There's a Facebook group for it, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it's just called the H staff group.
H staff group.
Mm-hmm. We have like 12 or 13 members, I think, right now, but.
Yeah, I mean, there's videos so people can see how it works. And once people see how it works, I think they'd be more into it.
Well, what I love is just watching it build and come together from absolutely nothing. Like, I love seeing that happen,
Yeah. Must be exhilarating seeing people like pick your prop up and find new tricks that you haven't known or that you haven't discovered.
Yeah. At Wildfire and at Kinetic Fire, people, especially in the contact staffers, they were just killing it, and I'm just like, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? What? Oh my God. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so moving right on. We've already talked about the H staff. We've talked briefly about Nunchaku tricks. You also started talking about flow tricks. Is that right? You have a retreat coming up.
Costa Rica.
A bunch of things. A Costa Rican retreat, right? Do you want to just kind of give us a list and give a really brief description of each venture, I suppose?
Yes, sure. I can tell you all the little ventures I'm doing.
Yeah.
One is Nunchaku Tricks, which is pretty much done right now. I've got about 6 hours of free YouTube tutorials for anyone that wants to pick up the nunchucks. One is
for anyone watching, I'm going to post all the links up when this article goes live. So you can just click on it and you'll be able to get more information, learn more about it, watch it happen.
That's awesome, because I'm always like trying to start new projects.
Noticed.
One is Soulwire, which is a music project that is gonna blend fire dancing and live music together. But all the musicians are also fire performers, so it's gonna be a really cool show for sure. Of course, there's the H staff group on Facebook that I'd like to see a lot more H staffers. Flowtricks, how do I describe it? It's like a nestled system of tutorials aimed at complete beginners. Flowtricks is going to be huge, and it's taking all my time, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. The Costa Rica retreat is kind of like, it's like a 2-week paradise. It's beautiful. It's kind of like if you're taking a vacation but you love to spin or you want to learn how to spin, it's the perfect place to go. Definitely.
That Zan and Nick Woolsey use for their retreats?
And Srikanta, yeah. Mm-hmm. There's Zan, Nick Woolsey, Srikanta, Fire Groove, and me, as far as I know so far, that do that one.
Is it all you guys at the same time in the same place, or are you doing each respective retreat on your own?
Well, it's in the same location. It's in Montezuma, in the same general area for sure. But we take turns at different times. For instance, last year I did it in March, but this time I'm doing it more in October. So I just wanted more time because I'm still building up a base for all my little spinning community that I'm trying to create with Nunchaku Tricks and Flowtricks. So I wanted to wait this year.
Thanks.
Other ventures, of course, is Quixotic, which is just this group that I belong to that's just incredible aerialists and musicians. And well, one thing I love about Quixotic is I just get to perform at some of the like huge festivals. You know, like we've taken front stage of Waka, Wanderlust, Root Wire, things like that. I think besides that, the last thing is just my own like little fire troupe that we have here. You know, we have a little fire trio that that I'm also working on. So always trying to look for local gigs too. So I feel like that's one of the best things you can do is just spread out and do a whole bunch of things, and just then it's a game of juggling. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You're committed to like the flow game. Totally. I think more than anyone I know, you have a lot more going on. And I had a question. Oh yeah. Have you gotten any requests for H-Staff performance yet?
Yeah, actually, Quixotic wanted it the most, so I definitely trained hard so I could bring it. Because Quixotic, what they want something unique or different, you know, for their show, something that you don't see very often. So that's another one of my inspirations for wanting to learn the H-Staff more. And it looks great with Sklitter. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sklitter up the H-Staff. Beautiful. Gotta love Ninja Pirate.
I do. And they're here now. I'm so excited to move to Atlanta.
They're in your hometown?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they moved there.
Kind of.
Awesome.
They're in our home state. They're like an hour away.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
I'm very, very honored. Okay, so that's a whole big full plate for you. Is there anything that really stands out that you're more excited than anything else about?
FlowChicks, definitely.
FlowChicks.
I mean, FlowChicks and Quixotic. With Quixotic, though, I never know what's around the corner. It's just, but the gigs are just so incredible, you know? Like, I love seeing the world, and they help me do that. FlowTricks, though, the thing I love about it is something that I'm creating from the ground up, you know? Like, no one's really helped me with it yet, and if this works the way I think it will, I think it's going to bring in just a huge amount of new people into the flow arts world, people that we've never had before, you know? My goal is to more reach out for people that have never spun before than people that have, because I feel like that'll create a greater sense of community and diversity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important because a lot of people are coming to this community from raves and from all sorts of random places that may not have a good initiation, I want to say. Like, they're not really introduced off the get-go about fire safety and fire techniques and etiquette and ethics. And
Definitely.
So I think something like what you're doing is a great way to usher them in.
Definitely, definitely. And, well, with FlowTricks, I don't know if you've seen the video or not, but essentially every time a video plays, there's a sidebar, and there's always links on the side. So they can, like, level up the move. So if it's too easy, they can make it more difficult. They can level it down, which will bring out easier techniques. There's going to be, like, moves that are similar to other props. So if you're doing a rotor with the staff, what would be the equivalent to nunchucks? So they're going to cross-pollinate between props, too. And there's also just going to be, like, random buttons. There's a forum. It's basically just going to, the whole idea with FlowTricks is to interconnect everything so the person's never lost when they're on a video. They can always have a direction.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. But it does take the most time because, like, I have to create the engine, and once I get the videos going, I can't change it. So I have to make sure when I get this engine, when I have this format done, that it's exactly the perfect way that I want it. So 30 videos later, I can't really change it. You know, 50 videos later, it's set in stone. So it takes a lot of time, definitely, in trying to, like, make sure that I get it just right.
I could see that. I wonder if there's a way that you can make it that it's constantly able to evolve and change, and because that seems limiting. It seems very limiting, the fact that you can't change anything after it's live.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, let's say you have 50 videos, they're all nestled and interconnected with each other. You know, there's three, like, every video is tagged to 3 others. They're pretty wound in pretty deep. Here's something else that's going to be really cool about FlowTricks is eventually when I've got the foundations out, then I've already talked to other artists, other spinners, and that are fairly well known, and we'll start bringing them in. And eventually, what you can think of it like is branches of trees. All of a sudden, you can go like the Noel tree branch, and, you know, there'll be all of his techniques, and then there's going to be others, and then on top of that, there's going to be another dimension of user submitted tree branches of techniques where they can connect their own. So if people are just training and discovering new things, they can also add on to it. So eventually, it's going to start off with this very thin root. You know, it's like this very small seed, but it should just keep expanding infinitely, hopefully.
Fucking amen. So cool. I'm really
pretty
excited
excited.
about the project. Yeah. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
Thanks. It's going to take some years. That I do know. It's going to be years in the
How far along
making.
are
So.
you?
Well, if you go to flowtricks.com, it looks like everything's just about ready except for the videos.
Wow.
So, I've spent probably about 3 months pretty hard on getting everything together up into the video. I think videos will start releasing within a couple weeks. So.
Sweet. Did you have to code anything, or was the template already there?
A little bit of both. I don't know hardcore coding, but I had to learn some for sure.
Yeah.
To get it through, and definitely had to figure out like how to interconnect and connect everything together. It was pretty tricky trying to figure out how to like connect all the dots, but I think I got a good system for it now. So
Nice. That sounds familiar with what I went through with the magazine.
what's that?
Just a little bit of coding, a little bit of hiring out help for things that I couldn't handle, and
Yeah.
a little bit of using what was already there.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's how I've been doing it too.
Yeah. All right. So the last question was, what's the funnest and what's the most exciting thing for you right now? What's the hardest and what's the most time-consuming out of all of those?
Still Flowtricks, yeah.
Still Flowtricks.
Flowtricks, and I'm also running a fire trio. As anyone knows, you have to wear many hats. And then it's funny because I have to wear a ton of hats because from a fire perspective, like, well, we already know you got to be a promoter, a marketer, et cetera, a website builder. But then from the Flowtricks perspective, it pretty much like I have a whole nother skill set that I had to learn with that too. Like I had to figure out how to be a good cameraman. I bought a nice camera, how to figure out lighting, how to encode and figure out how to do video editing better and things like that.
Yeah, that's
So
a commitment.
it's really funny, and I know you can probably agree with this. Most of the work people will never know or see or understand. Like most of what you do in the magazine, people may not even realize.
Oh yeah.
It's all that hidden background work. So.
Troubleshooting and getting things on track, and then the links don't work, and then this, and then and then getting permissions. Yeah.
Or that one little technical glitch that you think should be easy to fix and ends up being like a 2-hour, 3-hour venture.
Tried 2 days.
There it is. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I just spent 4 hours working on putting subcategories in a forum. Something that I thought would take 30 seconds took me 4 hours because I had to wipe the whole forum clean and I had to recode the whole thing. So I had to figure out how to code it first. So. You reach that point where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I've already come so far, I've got to get
Yes! Oh, God.
Yeah.
But thank God for those moments, because I guess I got to keep going.
Yeah, totally. But I'm glad it's done now. I'm never going back to that again.
So all the work that you're putting in, is any of this actually financially supporting you?
Well, that's the hope. I mean, Nunchaku Tricks supports me a little bit. Just because I monetize the YouTube views, so when you monetize YouTube views, it's just a little fraction. But if you can build your audience up, I mean, there's people that make a living on YouTube, So the idea is if you grab a whole new target audience, a new target market, you could definitely bring in a bigger crowd. And then when you nestle and you wind everything up together, people are going to be clicking on more links because they're going to be in the web. So that's the goal is that Flowtricks will actually be able to help me like do it more, just because everything's gonna be so nestled. When people are interested, they're not just gonna watch one video, they might watch 10 to 15 videos every day,
Yeah, that's awesome. And just as a side tip, Google Hangouts is great for that. Like I'm hearing it being like having a foot in the marketing world, and Nick having a foot in the marketing world. Like we hear these little bits and tidbits of information and like what you should do to get your rankings up and to get noticed online, and Hangouts is a great one because it's by Google, right? And it goes straight when you do a Hangout like this, it goes straight to YouTube, which is also owned by Google. And most people do their searches, like their search engine tends to be Google. So, Google loves when you use Google.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Well,
if you're using,
might have to
if you're using YouTube, that's a great combination.
I might have to talk to you a little bit later about how that works,
Yeah, absolutely.
because that sounds really cool. Definitely,
Yeah,
like
and
being
it's
able to stream it.
exactly, and it's hella fun. There's all sorts of apps that you could add on that I haven't really played with yet lately. That's why we're not using it. But like theoretically, I'd be able to like as we're talking, show videos of you and like show links that pop up on the screen and all sorts of little toys. I could have sound effects. Like I could have a frog give a really good answer or something like that. Like
We can have some fun with the sound effects.
we're gonna have to have Nick applaud.
Uh,
All right, sweet. Now, okay, so last one was the hardest thing. So, I mean, we talked about all the hardships and all the little things that, are way harder than we think they're going to be.
definitely,
And
yeah.
if there's somebody listening to this that's as ambitious as you are and they really want to get their fingers and toes into all these different aspects and try and make a living and try and make something that pays and give to the community while teaching the community while doing this and that in the flow community, is there any advice that you want to give them? Like, for example, are there mistakes that you made that you wish you hadn't done? Are there things that were a waste of your time? Just anything you could think of to really offer to people like you, essentially.
Well, yeah, definitely. I've got a couple of that, a couple of things with that.
Good.
I mean, I think one of the most important things is that if you want to start something, start it now. Like, do it right now. Like, study up as much as you can, but then just do it. Because I feel like there's a lot of people that have dreams, but they don't put the work in, so it stays in their head, Actually initiating it is probably one of the most difficult things, and the thing is I think people are afraid of making mistakes. Like, I could say here's some mistakes to avoid, but I think it's going to be more specific. Like, people could talk to me if they want to about what they're doing specifically, and I can tell them if I've done it before, for sure. But I feel like the mistakes have been like the arrows that have pointed me in the right direction. I had to make a ton of mistakes to get to where I feel like something's actually established. So I feel like just be prepared to make a whole ton of mistakes.
Mm.
And then not to see it as such, I think the failure in anything would be to give up from that. I really feel like the mistakes in themselves are actually going to be what pulls you through. If you can make a mistake and you can get past that, then I feel like that's experience, that's wisdom. Now you're like moving in the right direction from that.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you if you have a philosophy for making us all work harmoniously together, and that's obviously, if not it, that's a great one to follow.
Another thing I can say is also sometimes I think people get too competitive, or they want to think of best. Like, people shouldn't look at spinners as numbers, but more like colors. You've got blue, you've got purple, you've got yellow. So the best gets replaced really fast. The top, the best, the top 10, or et cetera, that all gets replaced every year. But if you just find your own way of doing things and be unique, I feel like that's kind of going more the timeless route. Find
Right.
your own way of doing things and teach it. Be unique. Be yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I find myself do this a lot too, where I get caught up with like, oh, that trick is so great, or hey, that series is awesome, or hey, that combination or that pattern. But then I realize, the one thing that's really eye-catching about that person is the fact that they did something different. So rather than try and follow in someone's footsteps, try to innovate and just try to go your own route. And it might not be, the super impressive trick that you want to aspire to. Just aspire to be yourself and aspire to go your own way.
Definitely.
And develop your own section of tricks.
Well, yeah, because the world already has that person or that trick.
Exactly.
The world has it. So now it's time to like open up your little thing.
Yeah, open up your bubble, pop your bubble.
As for a philosophy, though, I can also say this. Like, I think that one of the philosophies that I follow is chaos. The philosophy of chaos. You create a list, you create a pattern, you get ready, this is how I want things to be done, and then you get ready to just throw it into chaos and watch it just and then just get ready to swim like crazy. I feel like
drop everything on this. I have this obnoxious, ridiculous idea, and I'm going to drop everything I have into it and then just see what happens. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what I mean. It's like I have this plan. It looks good. I've never done this before, but I think I've researched it. Oh, okay. I'm gonna jump in the water. Oh, just tear it up. Okay. I hope I remembered.
Have you ever sank doing that? Like they say, sink or swim. Like, have you ever just sank? Has something ever like not worked out that you've poured so much into?
Yeah, you sink when you give up, and you sink if you cling too hard onto your list. That's when you sink. I mean, sometimes you bomb out, man. I've done some really ridiculous things that I don't even want to talk about on the air. It's just ridiculous. But I mean, I didn't sink from it. I definitely caught a bunch of water in my lungs, but I came back to the top and kept going.
Converted it
So,
at worst, would you say? Like converted it to something else.
yeah,
Take
yeah.
as far as you come. And change them.
I feel like the ability to swim in chaos though is going to be like your best asset. At least my best asset is the ability to be able to abandon what you think is going to be what works and to just go with whatever's happening at that particular moment. Because a lot of times things just break apart really fast. And being adaptable, I think, is going to be what will keep you in the game.
Oh yeah, and it's tough. It's a tough skill to learn.
Yeah.
But that's what separates the lions from the sheep, I guess, in the end, right? That's what
Right.
makes a success.
Right.
You gotta learn to live with the mistakes, the failures. I think that's come up a couple of times in our conversation. That's really that's what does it. That's what does it.
It's so true. And then also, if you just think about mistakes and failures, it could just be a perspective as to how you thought it needed to be, when really it's just a shift of perspective.
Yeah.
Like you might think that this is the way to get there, but I mean, the only failure that might have been is maybe it was supposed to be that way, just because the way that you saw it with your perspective, and that shift in perspective was all you really needed.
Right.
Not necessarily anything else.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, that's a lot of freaking awesome insight, and I hope that people take something away from this. And
Me too.
having talked about all the things that you're sort of nurturing right now, and all the things that you have going on, and all the things that you're giving back to the community, there is one thing that you have to step away from, and this is the part where I make a really sad announcement,
Oh,
because you've been with the fire team. You've been in our fire family since January,
hmm
and which I'm extremely grateful for, because I remember your original answer to me was no, that you didn't think you had the time to do it.
right.
And as it
Yeah.
turns out, you actually don't have the time to do it. So I'm extremely grateful for the months that you've been with us, but it's time that you have to divert your attention and step away from the magazine team.
Yeah.
So August is going to be your last article with
And Dark Monk. Yeah.
with a Dark Monk. Is it an interview? Is that what it is?
Yeah. I'm gonna interview him about all of his little secrets. We're gonna get the lowdown as to what he's been hiding. So
Great. I know he's working on a ton of new stuff, so it's going to be good.
yeah, I'm really excited. Really excited for that one. And thank you too. Like it's been an honor being on the magazine. I hope you guys keep going forward, and maybe we can even team up with our endeavors.
Yes, yeah, we better.
Right.
We better, because we're here to help you, and we hope that you can, share a little bit of your awesome successes with us, so that we could spread them amongst the community and really, rope more people into it. Get more
Thank you.
people to watch, get more viewers, get more likes, whatever you need.
Well, I think it just flows naturally. We have the same vision, so
Exactly.
we're just trying to help the community. So
Yeah, we can't really grow that far apart.
Nope.
We can only grow together.
Yep. True that.
Still makes me sad, but it is what it is. And like I said, like having gone from no, I can't do it, to giving us what you've given us and putting all the amazing content that you have for the magazine, that's just, you can't be anything but grateful, really.
Thank you.
Love everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to ask my last question.
Yeah, sure.
This is a question that I've added recently to everyone's interviews, and it's one of my favorites. So if our community was a society and we all had our jobs, what would your job be in one or two words? And then describe your responsibilities.
I thought I had an answer for this one.
Let But that's
I
great.
mean,
I'm glad that you're changing it, and I'm glad that you're kind of flipping around and thinking a little bit more about it. Because everybody always thinks that they know, and then they're like, oh, but wait, I didn't think about that.
yeah, yeah. Well, I know I'm not the town bum.
That would be very, very hard for me to envision.
I'm trying to think of a job where, man, that's a hard one. Right now, I guess, right now I'm just gonna have to say, dang.
I'm trying to think of one for you, and it's just.
I mean, the thing is I feel like I go my own way, and so I don't really lead. So it couldn't be any type of leadership type of ordeal, because I go my own way, and then I just kind of share what I learn on that path. And if people follow, then great, and if not, then they go their own way too. So what would that be, like a tourist?
I almost see you as like the guy that. So like if the community was this isolated thing in the mountains, you would be like the guy that would fill your sack and go out to a world that people don't even know exists, and then come back and like unload your sack and say, hey, there's totally like a tribe over there, and they're all of a sudden they're making these tools for they're riding around in cars, and they're using this trick to light fires, and it's awesome. Like
that is awesome. What's that called though? What do they call those people?
Functional hobo. I don't know. Or no, it would be
yeah, functional hobo.
Explorer, maybe explorer.
Some sort of explorer. Yeah, I think that's a good one. Or I could be that crazy guy on the mountain that they send you to, like, and he's like crabby, and you have to like go through all these like crazy climbing, 50 feet of sheer rock, and you get to the top and you have to stand outside for like 3 days.
And then you ask him the question, and he just answers you with another question that you have to figure out for 2 years.
That's me. That's what I want to be. I totally want to be that guy.
It works. It works.
Perfect.
The whole ninja thing.
Totally.
That's
that
like
works.
something that you'd be like the head ninja. Just to you.
It would be my secret society. Yes. That would be awesome, and the flow arts needs that. So I would definitely take that role.
It does. Well, you're well on your way with all the stuff that you have going on, and all the like informational sources that you have coming out of you. That's like perfect. Just don't make us figure it out for 2 years. That's the only thing.
Just wait. Yeah, in about 10, 15 years, I'm gonna go find a mountain and just do it. For sure.
You have the E-Mountain. You should block the domain, or buy the domain, like Flow Mountain or something.
Flow Mountain. That's funny. It's just one day I'm just gonna disappear. Flowtrix is gonna be like, where did Ken go? Flow Mountain will just, like, this new website will magically appear.
I might have to Photoshop like a long beard on you. Fluffy eyelashes or eyebrows.
Totally. Me and Marvin Ong, but we'll both be old, so we'll actually have those things, He can have the other mountain, and I can have a mountain.
The Twin Peaks, the Flow Wisdom.
I love Marvin because I feel like we were both introduced into the Flow community about the same time, and like he has the exact opposite of what I have in terms of like the way that we showcase our abilities. So it would be very perfect that he would be on the other mountain and I would be on my mountain, and then you would have to choose which mountain.
How so? How are you guys opposite? So you're like yin and yang.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Marvin is very fluid. He's like, you watch him, and it's almost like you're watching water, like just gracefully pulling itself through. It's very fluid. But mine is very fierce. It's very aggressive, but it's still rounded off in the fire style. But it's very fierce. So I feel like mine is more. Yeah. See that? That was intense, right? Did you feel that intensity from over there?
Your headphones, man.
Yeah. Tell me more where that came from. See, though, Marvin wouldn't do that. Marvin wouldn't hit his headphones like I would. That's what I mean. He'd never punch his headphones.
Just spin his headphones, I think. He just like an anti-spinner with his headphones.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it would be very pretty. It'd be amazing. I'd be mind blown what Marvin could do with these headphones. Me, I'd just punch him. Just.
I'm gonna get Marvin a set of like perfectly weighted headphones and see what he does with them.
Oh my God. Yeah, but you have to have the counterweight on the other end too. Don't forget that. So.
Right, right. That would be like a triple boy.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh man. All right. I think it's time to wrap it up. I hope that this is far from the last time that we talk, and far from the last time that we talk about such awesome, amazing things, and that we share our knowledge and bestow it upon the Flow community. I'm sure it isn't.
Definitely. I'm sure that this is actually a new beginning for that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Definitely.
I hope you keep in touch, and I hope you keep us very closely on top of your progress. And
Yeah, definitely.
you let us spread whatever information you need us to spread to the people that want to receive it.
Thank you so much, and thanks again for having me in your magazine too. Like,
Oh God, it's my pleasure. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being a part of it. It's going to be really hard to replace you. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet.
well, yeah, I'm sure the magazine's just awesome. You guys,
Thank you.
I just hope the best for it. Definitely, definitely.
Thank you, Ken.
We'll share in our successes.
Yes, absolutely. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. All right, Ken. Well, good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Have a great weekend. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
For sure. Bye.